When we talk about prevention, we have to also talk about the origin of failure. Now, I'm not talking about huge, obvious failures or dramatic mistakes. I'm talking about something much quieter, like a small shortcut, and then another. And then the system slowly moves away from how it was originally designed. That process is called operational drift. And right now, we're going to talk about how to detect it before it becomes a real problem. At its core, operational drift is one of the most common patterns behind reliability breakdown. But the interesting thing is that drift rarely announces itself. It doesn't arrive as a crisis. It emerges gradually, one small deviation at a time. In the beginning, the change often seems harmless. Someone skips a step because the process feels slow. Someone creates a shortcut because it saves time. Someone bypasses a control because the system still appears stable. And nothing bad happens. So the shortcut gets used again and again. Eventually, it stops feeling like a shortcut and it becomes the way we do things. This is where drift begins to normalize. The accumulation of someone skipping steps or creating shortcuts or bypassing controls creates an era of drift, a system drift. And it's very dangerous to do so because it hides inside the normal work. So there's no alarm, there's no obvious failure. The system still appears to function, but underneath the surface, important protections are quietly weakening. Control points are bypassed, dependencies become fragile, small risks accumulate across the system, and over time, the organization slowly moves away from the original process design. And eventually, when pressure increases, that's when failure appears. And it's not because of one mistake. It's because the system drifted far enough away from its protective structure. To develop a prevention mindset, we should focus on the early signals of drift. High reliability organizations actively watch for early signals of drift. Some of the most common signals include small shortcuts becoming routine, steps in a process quietly disappearing, controls being bypassed because nothing bad has happened, workarounds becoming standard operating practice, or teams adjusting the workflow just to keep moving, keeping the work moving. None of these signals automatically mean failure is coming, but they are important indicators that the system may be slowly changing. And that's exactly when prevention should begin. The goal of drift detection is not to punish people, it's to understand how the system is evolving. Because most drift occurs when people are trying to make work function under pressure. So instead of asking who broke the process, high reliability organizations ask what pressure caused the process to change. That question helps leaders understand whether the system itself needs to be redesigned. Most organizations, success is measured by how well teams respond when something goes wrong, how quickly they fix the issue, how fast they recover, how well they manage the crisis. But in quality prevention and high reliability organization, success looks very different. Success looks quiet. No fires, no emergency meetings, no frantic emails, no late night escalations, no working over the weekend. Just systems that work, processes that hold, teams that operate within healthy capacity. From the outside, it can almost look uneventful, but that calm environment is not an accident. It is the result of intentional design because the strongest organizations do their work upstream. They identify risk before incidents. They design process controls before errors occur. They engineer human centric workflows that reduce friction before people feel pressure. They uncover failure modes before systems break, and they strengthen dependencies before something collapses. When those upstream practices are working, the system stabilizes. People don't have to perform heroics, leaders don't have to manage chaos, and the organization doesn't drift into crisis. The goal of prevention is simple: zero harm, minimal failure, maximum reliability. Calm operations are not boring, they're evidence that the system is healthy. So, we're going to continue to talk about this discipline of prevention because real quality isn't about fixing problems, it's about designing systems where problems struggle to appear.